Welcome back, boys and girls. We are back for part 2 of our video on comparing and ordering rational numbers. You just got the first part. You can go and check out that video. That was comparing rational numbers. Now we're going to talk about ordering rational numbers. And again, these are fractions, decimals, and percents. So you should already have the notes on comparing rational numbers. That's in our first video, and now we're going to talk about ordering rational numbers. And the steps are very similar to what they are to compare rational numbers, but there is a fourth step that we have to keep in mind, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. So again, first step, very similar to comparing. We want to convert each number to a decimal. Convert each number to a decimal. Again, you've already learned how to convert each of these rational numbers to each other. You should know how to go from a fraction to a decimal, from a decimal to a fraction, from a decimal to a percent, and vice versa. You should have notes on how to go all across the board between rational number conversions, fraction, decimal, percent, that is. So this video, along with the previous one, is about comparing and ordering rational numbers. So step 2, after we convert each number to a decimal, again, we're going to vertically align those decimals and fill in zeros where we need them. We're going to fill in zeros where we need them. Step 3, we are going to order the numbers. We're going to order the number based on whatever instructions we are given. The instructions may say order these from least to greatest, or they may say order these from greatest to least. Whatever the instructions are asking for, that's how we need to order the numbers. So be sure to read if the question is asking least to greatest or greatest to least. Let's look at our directions for our practice example. So on your page to the right, again, you're going to have practice. Okay, so you will put this on your right side of your journal. You can do it on a new page or on the same page if you have room. So we have practice, and our instructions tell us that we need to order, let me highlight it for you here, we need to order these rational numbers. So I'm going to write those instructions down. It says order, we have 3/7, we have 48.5%, and lastly we have 44 hundredths. 44 hundredths. Make sure you get into the habit of correctly saying the number, because that makes it easier to write it in its corresponding form. And again, if you can say it, you can write it. So let's go ahead and follow these instructions. Order these numbers. Well, step 1, we need to convert the numbers, each number, to a decimal. So I'm going to go ahead and order. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of organize this for us. Just make some little sections so each one can have its own space. All right, so this will be for 3/7, this will be for 48.5%, and this will be for 44 hundredths. All right, so again, let's start with this fraction, 3/7. And again, we have a fraction, we read it as division. So the way this would read, the way we would read this is 3 divided by, this is 3 divided by 7. That's how we would read that. 3 divided by 7. Top to bottom, all fractions are division problems. So we read it as 3 divided by 7. Okay? And the way we set that up is we have the top, we use T-bow. Top in, bottom out. Okay? This stands for top in, bottom out. Okay? That's what that stands for. TBO, top in, bottom out. What that means is we know our division sign, this little box, the top goes in and the bottom goes out. Okay? Top in, bottom out. So we're going to use this to set up our problem. So we have 3 divided by 7. 3 divided by 7. Top goes in, bottom goes out. Keep that in mind. If you write this as 7 on the inside and 3 on the outside, that is an entirely different problem. That's 7 divided by 3. So be sure to follow top in, bottom out. That is the rule when converting fractions to decimals. Now, I do want to warn you that this decimal is a long repeating decimal, so we are going to stop at the thousandths place. That is 3 digits to the right of the decimal. So I'm going to go ahead and annex my first 0. That's a decimal and a 0. And I'm going to take that decimal straight up. Same steps we did in the compare example. And we ask ourselves, how many sevens can we fit into 3? Well, 0. 7 does not go into 3. 7 times 0, we can multiply it out. That gives us 0. So 3 minus 0 gives us 3. And we drop down the next digit, which is a 0. Then we ask ourselves, how many 7s fit into 30? Well, that goes in there 4 times, because I know that 4 times 7 will give me 28. So I subtract that from the 30 that I get. Let me scoot this up a little bit for you. And 30 minus 28 gives me 2 as a leftover. But remember, I don't want any remainders. I don't want any remainders on a division problem that has decimals. So I'm going to annex another 0. I'm going to annex another 0. And I'm going to drop that 0 straight down. And remember, for time's sake, I am going to stop at the thousandths place so that this doesn't go 13 digits long. So 7 goes into 20 2 times. 2 times 7 times 2 gives us 14. So we're going to subtract that from our 20. And we have 2 as a remainder. We have 2 as a remainder. Okay. I'm sorry, 6 as a remainder. We have 6 as a remainder. I apologize. 6 as a remainder. I'm thinking about the one previously. And we have another 0 that we're going to annex. So this is 0. And we're going to drop that 0 straight down. That is 60. 7 goes into 60 8 times. So 7 times 8 will give me 56. And this will give me 4. So I am going to stop there. Of course, I could keep going on and on and on, but this will go all the way to a long number. If you look at the calculator, and I put this into the calculator, if I do 3 divided by 7, it will give me a long number that looks like that. So sometimes you will have decimals or fractions that convert to decimals that's really, really long, but that's why I said we're going to stop at the thousandths place. So this rounds to the nearest thousandth will be 428 thousandths. So we're going to stop that particular decimal right there. And the instructions I give you will say that. So we'll say that this one is 428 thousandths. That's what 3/7 converts to. Okay? Now, let's convert 48.5% to a decimal. And converting our percents to decimals is really easy. Okay? As we know, all we need to do is move the decimal two places to the left. Okay? And then of course you would remove the percent sign. So if I have 48.5% and I move that decimal 2 spaces to the left, that would be 1, 2. Decimal would now be right there. So this new decimal is 485 thousandths. 485 thousandths. That is my decimal for 48.5%. Okay? So all we need to do is move the decimal 2 places to the left. Because again, we are dividing by 100 when we're going from a percent to a decimal. The word percent literally means per 100. Okay? So we got those two done. Unfortunately, this one is already a decimal. Our third one here is already a decimal. But notice these have 3 digits. Both of these have 3 digits, but there's only 1 digit. So remember what our step said, okay? Remember what our step said. Order the numbers, but align your decimals. And our last step, of course, we want to write this in original form. Forgot that one, so we're going to write them in original form. These are our original forms up here. So we're going to keep that in mind when we write our final answer, okay? So I need to fill in with zeros. Fill in zeros where needed. Do I need a 0? Well, yes, I do. Any number can put a 0 on the end of it and it's not changing. As long as it's a decimal, it's not changing the value of the number. So this, of course, is just 440,000. I'm just going to drop this straight down. I fill in with a 0. Same number, I just filled in with a 0. So this is 440 thousandths. It's originally 44 hundredths, but 440 thousandths is the number to the thousandths place. Same value. And so those are my 3 decimals, okay? I've converted each number to a decimal. I'm going to now align the decimals. I filled in with zeros. So I'm going to write these. I'm going to write all of these top to bottom, okay? And I'm going to order them, all right? I'm going to start with the smallest one because I want to do these. I'm going to do these least to greatest. I'm going to do these least to greatest. This is how I'm going to do them. But whatever the instructions say, that's what you would do. But I'm going to do these least to greatest. So the smallest number, if we stack these, let's go ahead and stack them. I'm going to say 428 thousandths. And then we have 440 thousandths. Lastly, 485 thousandths. So I just put them based on what I believe the order they go in. I have to write them in their original form. Write the numbers in the original form. So these right here, which is the original number? So I believe these are correct. 4 is in the 10th place, can't compare there. All right, let's look at the hundredths place. 2 is my smallest hundredth, so that's going to be my first one. So which original number is 428 thousandths? You're right, it's 3 sevenths. So from least to greatest, we're going to have 3 sevenths. Going to have 3 sevenths. Keep that up for you. Then we're going to have 440 thousandths, which our original number was 44 hundredths. Put that down and see there. Our original was 44 hundredths. We placed a 0 where we needed it. So this is 44 hundredths. And lastly, we have 485 thousandths. You know, our original number was 48.5% before we converted it. So we're going to write the original, write your numbers in their original form. So this was 48.5%. And we have just ordered these numbers least to greatest. We order them least to greatest. If it said greatest to least, this would just be in reverse, okay? So this would be our answer to our problem. We'll put a box around this. We ordered these numbers least to greatest. 3/7 is the smallest, 4400 is the next smallest, and 48.5% is the greatest. So this is how you compare and order decimals. Our previous video was on comparing the decimals or comparing the rational numbers, and this video showed us how to order the rational numbers. Of course, you can pause it, you can rewind it, you can play it at your own speed so that you can get a great understanding. This was covered in class today, but if you need to rewatch the video for your benefit, feel free to do so. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped. We'll see you on the next video.